The phone vibrated in his hand at the worst possible moment. The hallway was already dark, not movie dark, not clean dark. It was the kind of dark that swallowed edges and bent shadows into strange shapes. The overhead lights in the apartment building had died months ago, and nobody bothered fixing them. The air smelled like old dust, damp concrete, and something faintly rotten, like water trapped where it shouldn't be. Evan stood frozen halfway down the hallway, one foot slightly lifted, as if the floor itself had suddenly become unsafe. The phone screen lit up his palm in a pale blue glow. One line of text burnt into his eyes. "Don't turn around." His heart skipped so hard it felt like it punched the inside of his ribs. The building was silent except for the low hum of distant electricity and the tiny buzz from his phone. His breathing got loud in his ears, slow at first, then shaky. He wasn't expecting any messages. It was close to midnight. Nobody usually texted him this late, especially not something like that. The words didn't feel like a joke. They felt heavy, urgent, like they had weight. His shoulders tightened without him meaning to. The back of his neck prickled like cold air was brushing it. He suddenly became too aware of the empty space behind him. The hallway stretched long and narrow, paling paint, cracks crawling along the walls like veins. A few doors sat half crooked in their frames. Somewhere far away, water dripped in a slow, uneven rhythm. Drip, pause, drip. He didn't hear footsteps, he didn't hear breathing, but the silence itself felt crowded. His thumb hovered over the phone screen. No sender name, just an unknown number. The message timestamp showed now. His mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was spam, maybe a prank, maybe someone in the building messing around. But the feeling in his chest said otherwise. His body wanted to turn around so badly. Curiosity pulled at him like a magnet. Fear pushed back even harder. His muscles felt locked, like someone had poured cement into his joints. The phone vibrated again. A second message appeared. "You're not alone." The words landed like ice water down his spine. His breathing turned shallow. His ears rang slightly. The hallway felt tighter, like the walls had leaned in closer when he wasn't looking. Every tiny sound suddenly mattered. The hum, the drip, the faint crackle of old wires hidden behind the walls. Even the soft fabric noise of his jacket brushing his arm sounded too loud. He stayed perfectly still. Somewhere deep inside him, a quiet survival voice whispered that if he moved too fast, something bad would happen, something final. The phone screen dimmed slightly as the timer ticked. His fingers felt numb, but he tightened his grip anyway, like letting go would make everything worse. Behind him, the air felt different. Not warmer, not colder, just occupied, a pressure that didn't belong to the empty hallway. His mind flashed to all the dumb horror stories he'd ever laughed at, the kind where people heard a noise and turned around and paid for it. He had always told himself he wouldn't be that guy. He'd be smarter, he'd stay calm. Right now, calm felt far away. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple. He swallowed, throat dry. He wanted to run. He wanted to bolt for his apartment door at the end of the hall. But the idea of moving meant exposing his back. The idea of turning meant seeing something he might never unsee. The silence stretched longer. Seconds felt like minutes. Then the phone buzzed again. "It's closer than you think." His stomach dropped. The pressure behind him intensified, like someone had stepped closer without making a sound. The air felt thicker, harder to breathe. His shoulders curled slightly forward without him realizing it, like a small animal trying to protect its neck. Every instinct screamed at him to move, do something, anything. But his feet stayed planted, and that was when his memory betrayed him. Earlier that evening, he hadn't planned to come home this late. Work had dragged on forever. The sky had already gone dark by the time he left the office. His head was foggy, tired in that deep way where the world feels slightly off. He remembered unlocking the front entrance to the building. The door had stuck like always. He'd shoved it open with his shoulder. The lobby lights had flickered, casting weird shadows across the broken tiles. That's when he'd felt it for the first time, that strange sense of being watched. He'd brushed it off back then. Old building, late-night nerves, too much coffee. Now the memory replayed differently. The elevator hadn't been working, so he took the stairs. 4 floors, quiet except for his footsteps echoing too loudly. Halfway up, he thought he heard something behind him, a soft scrape, a tiny shift of air. He paused on the steps and listened. Nothing. He told himself it was just the building settling, pipes, rats, normal stuff. But he remembered the chill that crawled up his arms for no clear reason. And now, standing in this dark hallway, that chill had returned, stronger, heavier, sharper. The phone buzzed again, almost impatient. If you turn, it learns you. His chest tightened so much, it almost hurt. He didn't fully understand what the message meant, but his gut understood enough. Something behind him wasn't just watching, it was waiting. His mind tried to picture what could possibly be standing there. A person? A shadow? Some twisted shape from a nightmare? The not knowing was worse than any clear image. His breathing became uneven. His lungs felt like they couldn't pull enough air. His hands trembled slightly. The phone shook in his grip. He wanted to call someone, anyone, but the idea of making noise felt dangerous, like breaking a fragile rule he didn't understand. The hallway stretched longer now, stretched like a tunnel with no end. Then something subtle changed. The dripping sound stopped. The hum softened. The silence deepened into something thick and heavy, like a blanket pressed over his ears. The pressure behind him felt closer, almost touching, almost brushing the back of his jacket. His skin crawled. Tiny goosebumps raced up his arms. His heart pounded so hard, he wondered if whatever was behind him could hear it. The phone vibrated one last time. It hates being ignored. His stomach twisted. Ignoring something that might be standing inches behind him felt impossible. Every nerve in his body was tuned backward. His imagination kept trying to sneak quick flashes into his mind. A hand reaching out, a face too close, breath on his neck. He squeezed his eyes shut for half a second, then forced them open again, staring down the dark hallway ahead of him. The far exit sign glowed faint red, like a tiny heartbeat in the distance. That exit felt impossibly far. The air shifted behind him. Not a sound, not a step, just movement. His shoulders tensed even more. His neck felt locked in place. His body prepared for impact without knowing what kind. And then he felt it. A faint change in temperature near the back of his neck. Not warmth, not cold, just empty, like the space itself had leaned closer. His stomach flipped. The phone buzzed again, faster this time. Slow steps. Don't rush. Don't look. His brain barely had time to process the instruction before his body tried to obey. His lifted foot lowered slowly, touching the concrete floor as gently as possible. The sound of the sole barely whispered against the dust. Nothing happened. No grab, no impact, no sudden noise. His pulse raced even harder. He shifted his weight forward slightly, testing the space ahead like thin ice. Another slow step. The hallway didn't react. The darkness stayed still. The pressure behind him remained, not closer, not farther. He kept moving. Every step felt like a gamble, like walking blindfolded near a cliff. Every muscle stayed tight, ready to explode into motion if something went wrong. The phone stayed lit in his hand, casting a faint glow on the wall beside him. His shadow stretched long and thin, warped by the uneven light. The silence followed him. The pressure followed him. He didn't dare speed up. Halfway down the hall, his legs started to ache from tension. Sweat dampened his collar of his shirt. His mouth tasted metallic, like fear itself had a flavor. His phone vibrated again. It's confused. Keep going. Relief tried to rise, but fear crushed it back down. Confused didn't mean gone. Confused didn't mean safe. He kept moving. Every few steps, the shadows seemed to shift slightly at the edge of his vision. Maybe it was just his nerves. Maybe the hallway lights outside were flickering through cracks in the building. Or maybe something was adjusting behind him. His apartment door came into view at the far end. The familiar number plate reflected faint light. Home felt so close now it almost hurt. His fingers tightened around the phone and the keys in his other hand. The metal dug into his palm. Another step. Another. The air behind him suddenly felt lighter, less heavy, less crowded. Work felt distant and unreal. His screen blurred more than once as his mind drifted back to the hallway. Every shadow in the office made his shoulders tense. Every vibration of his phone made his pulse spike. Nothing came in. By evening, exhaustion weighed on him again. The sun dipped behind the buildings outside his windows, and the familiar anxiety crept back into his chest. Night was coming. He delayed going home as long as he could, took the long way, walked slower, pretended to browse a store he didn't care about. But eventually, the sky turned dark and the streets emptied. The apartment building stood quiet when he arrived. The front door creaked as he pushed it open. The lobby lights flickered weakly. Shadows stretched across the floor in long, uneven shapes. His chest tightened. He paused just inside the entrance, listening. Nothing. No footsteps, no movement, no strange pressure. He climbed the stairs slowly, gripping the handrail harder than necessary. Each step echoed too loudly in the empty stairwell. His ears strained for any sound behind him. Nothing followed. By the time he reached his floor, his muscles ached from tension. The halights were still out. Darkness waited like a held breath. He stood at the top of the stairs, staring into the shadowy corridor. His apartment door sat at the far end, barely visible. His heart began to beat faster again. He took one step into the hallway. Nothing happened. Another step. Still nothing. The pressure didn't return. The air felt normal. The silence stayed flat and empty. Relief slowly crept into his chest, thin and cautious. Maybe it really was just a one-time thing, a freak moment, bad timing mixed with nerves and a weird text. He walked faster now, eager to reach his door. Halfway down the hall, his phone vibrated. His stomach dropped instantly. He froze and pulled it out. Unknown number. One new message. It followed you inside. The words hit like a punch. His breath caught in his throat. His hands went cold. His eyes darted around the hallway even though he didn't turn fully around. Inside. His apartment flashed in his mind. The quiet rooms, the closed windows, the locked door from last night. His pulse hammered in his ears. The phone buzzed again. It learned the space while you slept. A wave of nausea rolled through him. His mind raced. Learned the space meant memorized, studied, understood. His skin crawled. He forced himself to keep walking, slow and controlled. Every instinct screamed to run, but the memory of the hallway kept him cautious. He reached his door, unlocked it quickly, and stepped inside. The apartment looked exactly the same. Too normal. The air smelled the same, the furniture sat untouched, the curtains hung still. But the feeling was different. The silence inside felt heavier than it should have been. He closed and locked the door behind him, heart pounding hard enough to make his chest ache. His eyes scanned the room. Nothing moved. No shadows slipped, no shapes shifted. He stood still in the entryway, listening. That was when he noticed the air felt slightly colder near the bedroom doorway. Not cold enough to be obvious, just enough to feel wrong. His stomach tightened. The phone vibrated again in his hand. Don't let it see your face. A chill ran through him. He swallowed hard and slowly turned his body sideways, keeping his face angled away from the bedroom doorway. His eyes stayed forward, avoiding direct alignment with the dark opening. The room remained quiet. The cold patch of air didn't move. But the feeling of being watched returned, sharper this time, closer, more intimate, like something was studying the side of his head. His breathing became shallow again. He took a careful step backward toward the living room wall, keeping his face turned slightly away. His shoulder brushed the wall lightly, the rough paint scraped his jacket. The cold air shifted. Not fast, not slow, just aware. The phone buzzed again. It's curious now. Curiosity makes it careless. His heart thudded louder. Careless sounded good. Careless sounded like opportunity, but he didn't know what that meant yet. He stayed still, barely breathing. The pressure in the air changed again. The cold spot drifted slightly closer. The space near his neck felt thinner, like something invisible leaned in to inspect him. Every nerve in his body screamed. His muscles twitched, fighting the urge to spin around. The phone vibrated one more time. Go to the bathroom, lock yourself in, lights off, no mirrors. His stomach flipped. The bathroom sat just down the small hallway inside his apartment. To reach it, he'd have to move past the bedroom doorway, past the cold spot, past whatever was standing there. His legs felt weak, but he forced them to move. One slow step. The air didn't react. Another step. The cold shifted slightly, tracking him. His skin prickled like static. He kept his face angled away, eyes fixed on the far wall. His breathing stayed shallow and controlled. Step by step, he slid past the bedroom doorway. The cold passed inches from his shoulder. A strange pressure brushed the air near his arm, like the space itself tightened for a brief moment. His stomach clenched. He didn't look. He didn't stop. He reached his door, unlocked it quickly, and stepped inside. The apartment looked exactly the same. Too normal. The air smelled the same, the furniture sat untouched, the curtains hung still. But the feeling was different. The silence inside felt heavier than it should have been. He closed and locked the door behind him, heart pounding hard enough to make his chest ache. His eyes scanned the room. Nothing moved. No shadows slipped, no shapes shifted. He stood still in the entryway, listening. That was when he noticed the air felt slightly colder near the bedroom doorway. Not cold enough to be obvious, just enough to feel wrong. His stomach tightened. The phone vibrated again in his hand. Don't let it see your face. A chill ran through him. He swallowed hard and slowly turned his body sideways, keeping his face angled away from the bedroom doorway. His eyes stayed forward, avoiding direct alignment with the dark opening. The room remained quiet. The cold patch of air didn't move, but the feeling of being watched returned, sharper this time, closer, more intimate, like something was studying the side of his head. His breathing became shallow again. He took a careful step backward toward the living room wall, keeping his face turned slightly away. His shoulder brushed the wall lightly, the rough paint scraped his jacket. The cold air shifted. Not fast, not slow, just aware. The phone buzzed again. It's curious now. Curiosity makes it careless. His heart thudded louder. Careless sounded good. Careless sounded like opportunity, but he didn't know what that meant yet. He stayed still, barely breathing. The pressure in the air changed again. The cold spot drifted slightly closer. The space near his neck felt thinner, like something invisible leaned in to inspect him. Every nerve in his body screamed. His muscles twitched, fighting the urge to spin around. The phone vibrated one more time. Go to the bathroom, lock yourself in, lights off, no mirrors. His stomach flipped. The bathroom sat just down the small hallway inside his apartment. To reach it, he'd have to move past the bedroom doorway, past the cold spot, past whatever was standing there. His legs felt weak, but he forced them to move. One slow step. The air didn't react. Another step. The cold shifted slightly, tracking him.
His skin prickled like static. He kept his face angled away, eyes fixed on the far wall. His breathing stayed shallow and controlled. Step by step, he slid past the bedroom doorway. The cold passed inches from his shoulder. A strange pressure brushed the air near his arm, like the space itself tightened for a brief moment. His stomach clenched. He didn't look. He didn't stop. He reached his door, unlocked it quickly, and stepped inside. The apartment looked exactly the same. Too normal. The air smelled the same, the furniture sat untouched, the curtains hung still. But the feeling was different. The silence inside felt heavier than it should have been. He closed and locked the door behind him, heart pounding hard enough to make his chest ache. His eyes scanned the room. Nothing moved. No shadows slipped, no shapes shifted. He stood still in the entryway, listening. That was when he noticed the air felt slightly colder near the bedroom doorway. Not cold enough to be obvious, just enough to feel wrong. His stomach tightened. The phone vibrated again in his hand. Don't let it see your face. A chill ran through him. He swallowed hard and slowly turned his body sideways, keeping his face angled away from the bedroom doorway. His eyes stayed forward, avoiding direct alignment with the dark opening. The room remained quiet. The cold patch of air didn't move. But the feeling of being watched returned, sharper this time, closer, more intimate, like something was studying the side of his head. His breathing became shallow again. He took a careful step backward toward the living room wall, keeping his face turned slightly away. His shoulder brushed the wall lightly. The rough paint scraped his jacket. The cold air shifted. Not fast, not slow, just aware.
He eased the door open just enough to slip through. The apartment was dark now. Only faint streetlight filtered through the curtains, painting soft gray shapes across the walls and furniture. The cold patch of air was no longer near the bedroom doorway. That didn't mean it was gone. It meant it had moved. His skin prickled. He took one slow step into the hallway. Nothing reacted. Another step. Still nothing. He kept his eyes forward, resisting the urge to scan the shadows too carefully. The advice echoed in his mind like a quiet mantra. Don't look. Don't acknowledge. Don't feed it. He moved toward the living room, keeping his breathing slow and steady. Halfway across the floor, his phone vibrated again. It's near the ceiling now. His stomach dropped. Near the ceiling meant above him. His neck stiffened instinctively, fighting the urge to glance upward. The air overhead felt thicker, heavier, like an invisible weight hung just above his scalp. His shoulders tensed. He forced himself to keep walking. The couch loomed ahead. The small coffee table reflected faint light. Everything looked normal, yet completely wrong at the same time. The pressure overhead followed him, drifting silently. His phone buzzed again. It doesn't understand vertical space well yet. That's your advantage. He didn't fully understand what that meant, but he trusted it. He reached the far wall of the living room where the window sat. The curtains fluttered slightly from a faint draft. The pressure overhead wavered. His phone vibrated. Opened the window slowly. His fingers trembled as he reached for the curtain edge. The fabric felt cold and slightly damp from night air leaking through the glass. He pulled it aside gently. The window latch felt stiff under his fingers. He twisted it carefully, trying not to make noise. A faint click echoed in the room. The pressure above him shifted sharply, like something had noticed. His heart skipped. He eased the window open inch by inch. Cool night air slid into the room, carrying distant city smells and faint traffic noise. The pressure wavered again. The phone buzzed. Air movement disrupts its shape. Keep it steady. He opened the window a little more, letting the breeze flow freely. The pressure above him thinned slightly. The air felt less heavy. His breathing slowed a notch. The phone buzzed again. Now, move away from the window. Don't rush. He stepped back carefully, keeping his eyes forward. The pressure hesitated near the ceiling, uncertain, like something struggling to hold its form. The breeze continued to stir the air gently. The phone vibrated. It's weakening. Stay calm. His chest loosened slightly for the first time since the night before. The pressure faded a little more, thinning like mist in sunlight. Then something unexpected happened. The air behind him tightened suddenly. Not overhead, behind. His stomach dropped. The pressure snapped closer, sharper than before, like something had realized it was losing control and reacted instinctively. His phone vibrated urgently. It's trying to anchor to you. Don't panic. Panic gives it weight. His heart pounded violently. He forced himself to slow his breathing even as adrenaline flooded his veins. Inhale, exhale, slow and steady. The pressure hovered close to his back, not touching but near enough to feel like static against his skin. The room felt colder again. His phone buzzed again. Walk toward the window again. Let the air pull it. He turned his body slightly, keeping his face angled away from where the pressure felt strongest, and took a careful step toward the window. The pressure resisted for a moment, like invisible tension stretched between them. Then it shifted reluctantly. Another step. The pressure dragged slightly, thinning again as the airflow disturbed it. The breeze brushed his face now, cool and steady. His phone vibrated. Good. Keep going. He took another step closer to the window. The pressure weakened further, losing cohesion like smoke being pulled apart. His shoulders loosened slightly as the heavy feeling faded. The phone buzzed again. Almost gone. Don't stop now. He stood just a few feet from the open window now. The city air filled the room with distant sound and movement. The pressure finally loosened its grip, thinning into almost nothing. The cold sensation faded. The heavy silence lifted. For a brief moment, the apartment felt normal again. His phone vibrated one last time. It's gone. For now. Relief crashed into him so suddenly his knees nearly buckled. He leaned one hand against the wall, breathing deeply, letting the tension drain from his body in slow waves. The apartment stayed quiet. No pressure, no cold, no heaviness, just air and silence. But even as relief settled, a new fear crept in quietly. The message said, for now, not forever. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't destroyed. It had learned him, and it might come back smarter next time. Evan didn't close the window. Even after the pressure vanished, even after the room felt normal again, he kept the glass open. The moving air felt like a thin shield, a quiet protection. The night breeze carried distant traffic noise, a faint siren far away, the low hum of a city that never fully slept. Those sounds grounded him. He stayed standing near the wall for a long time, listening, breathing slowly, letting his nerves settle inch by inch. His phone remained in his hand. Dark. No new messages. The silence after constant guidance felt strange, almost lonely. The unknown number had become a lifeline. Without it, the apartment felt bigger and emptier. He sat on the couch eventually, still facing forward, still avoiding mirrors or dark reflections without fully realizing it. His body stayed slightly tense, ready for danger that might return. Minutes passed. Then his phone vibrated softly. His heart jumped again, but this time the fear mixed with curiosity. A new message appeared. You handled it better than most. His brow tightened slightly. Better than most meant there were others. His phone buzzed again. That thing doesn't choose randomly. It follows patterns. People who notice silence, people who walk alone, people who stay inside their own heads too much. The words felt uncomfortably accurate. He had always been quiet, observant, the kind of person who noticed small changes in rooms, shifts in mood, tiny sounds most people ignored. It never felt important before. Now it felt like a target. The phone buzzed again. It feeds on awareness, not just fear. Attention itself shapes it. His stomach tightened. So even noticing it gave it power. That explained why ignoring it weakened it. The phone vibrated. You're lucky. You didn't look. Most people look. A cold ripple moved through his chest. Most people. He imagined someone else standing in a dark hallway, curiosity winning over instinct, turning around, seeing something that couldn't be unseen. His skin prickled. The phone buzzed again. When someone looks, it finishes learning them. After that, it doesn't let go easily. His breathing slowed without him realizing it. Let go easily meant it could still let go sometimes, but not always. The phone vibrated one more time. You want to know what it is. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. His fingers tightened around the phone. Yes, he wanted to know. The not knowing felt like standing on unstable ground. The phone buzzed. It doesn't have a real name. It's a leftover shape, a shadow made from human awareness. Old buildings collect them, quiet places feed them. A leftover shape. The phrase stuck in his mind like a bad taste. The phone vibrated. It starts thin, just pressure, a sense of being watched. If someone feeds it long enough, it becomes more defined, more personal, more dangerous. His thoughts drifted back to the cold near his bedroom doorway, the weight near the ceiling, the way the air itself had felt occupied. That wasn't imagination anymore. The phone buzzed again. It can't exist well in motion or chaos. Airflow, sound, crowded places weaken it. Silence and stillness strengthen it. That explained why the dark hallway had felt like its home, why his quiet apartment had become vulnerable. The phone vibrated. You interrupted its attachment early. That's why it backed off. Early, meaning there were later stages. His phone buzzed. If you had turned around last night, it would have learned your face, your posture, your breathing, your reactions. That makes you predictable. Predictable makes you easy to follow. His stomach nodded. The idea that something could memorize him like that made his skin crawl. The phone vibrated again. Now it only knows your outline, your movement pattern, your fear level. That's manageable. Manageable didn't mean harmless. His phone buzzed. You're wondering who's texting you. His pulse ticked up slightly. Yes, very much. The phone vibrated. I had one once. The words hit heavier than anything else so far. Had. Past tense. His chest tightened. The phone buzzed again. I looked. A cold silence filled his apartment. He imagined the other person standing somewhere else, in some other dark space, making the wrong choice 1 second too late. The phone vibrated. It followed me for 3 years. His breath caught slightly. 3 years of being watched, avoiding silence, avoiding darkness, living with something that never fully left. That thought alone made his stomach twist. The phone buzzed. I learned how to thin it, how to confuse it, how to survive it. Survive, not defeat. The phone vibrated again. Most people don't get a warning. You did. That's why you're still okay. A strange mix of gratitude and dread washed through him. He stared at the glowing screen, feeling connected to someone he had never met, someone who carried the same invisible nightmare. The phone buzzed. You're not safe yet. It doesn't give up easily once it marks someone. Marked. The word felt heavy. The phone vibrated again. You'll need to change habits. Light, sound, movement. No long, silent walks, no dark corners, no empty rooms. His apartment suddenly felt like a maze of traps. The phone buzzed. And you can't be alone too much. It likes isolation. His chest tightened slightly. He lived alone. He worked quietly. He liked empty spaces. All the things that once felt peaceful now felt dangerous. The phone vibrated. You'll get used to it. I did. That wasn't comforting. The phone buzzed again. If it comes back stronger, you'll feel it before you see it. Pressure, cold, silence bending around you. Trust that instinct. He already knew that feeling too well. The phone vibrated. And whatever happens, don't let curiosity win. His mind flashed back to the urge to turn around in the hallway, the almost unbearable pull to look. He swallowed slowly. The phone went silent. The screen dimmed. The room stayed still. But the weight of the conversation lingered. He wasn't just dealing with a random event anymore. He was part of a pattern, a quiet chain of people who had crossed paths with something that shouldn't exist. And somewhere out there, the only other person who truly understood what he had experienced was still living with their own shadow. The next few days passed in a strange, half-normal blur. Evan kept the windows open whenever he could. He left lights on even during the day. Soft music played constantly in the background, low enough not to distract, but high enough to break silence. The apartment never fully rested anymore. He avoided dark corners without thinking about it. He moved furniture slightly so shadows didn't gather as heavily. He even kept the bathroom door open now, letting light spill inside. At night, he slept with a lamp on and the window cracked open. The city noise became his comfort blanket. Sirens, engines, distant voices drifting up from the street. Nothing strange happened. No pressure, no cold air patches, no strange heaviness. His phone stayed quiet, almost too quiet. By the fourth night, the tension in his shoulders had eased just a little, not enough to relax fully, but enough that his body stopped flinching at every tiny sound. That's when the thought crept in. It started small, almost harmless. He realized he had never checked the timestamp details of the messages closely. He had been too focused on surviving the moment to care about technical stuff. Now, curiosity nudged him. He opened the message thread. The unknown number still sat at the top. He scrolled slowly through the conversation. Everything looked normal at first glance. Times matched roughly when things had happened. Messages aligned with his memory. But something subtle felt off. He zoomed in slightly and looked closer. The first message from the hallway night arrived at exactly 11:43 p.m. He remembered that moment clearly. The hallway was silent. He had just stepped into the dark corridor. The second message arrived at 11:43 p.m. The third message also showed 11:43 p.m. So did the fourth. His brow furrowed. Several messages had the exact same timestamp down to the minute. That wasn't normal. Phones usually stagger messages by at least a minute, especially when several were sent separately. A small chill moved through his chest. He scrolled further. More of the messages shared identical timestamps, clusters of them stacked under the same minute marker, even though they had clearly arrived spaced out in real time. His stomach tightened. It felt like the phone itself had grouped them strangely, or like the time data didn't fully exist the way it should. He backed out and checked the message details. The sender number showed no country code, no carrier info, just a string of digits that didn't match any normal format. That alone wasn't impossible, but combined with the timestamps, it felt wrong. He tried copying the number and pasting it into a search field. Nothing came up. No matches, no records, just empty results. His pulse ticked up slightly. He told himself not to overthink it. Weird glitches happened all the time. Phones weren't perfect. Still, the unease lingered. Later that night, while lying on his couch with the lights on and the window cracked open, he stared at the ceiling and replayed the messages in his mind. One detail kept circling back. The way the messages always seemed to arrive exactly when he needed them. Not a second too late, not early. Always perfectly timed. Almost like they weren't traveling through normal networks. Almost like they were appearing when something shifted in the space around him. The thought made his chest feel tight. He rolled slightly onto his side, eyes tracing faint shadows on the ceiling. Another small detail surfaced. He had never once heard his phone vibrate before it actually vibrated. No signal delay, no notification lag. It was instant, clean, sharp, like a tap on his nerves. The idea made his skin crawl. He reached for the phone again and opened the message thread. His thumb hovered over the keyboard. Against his better judgment, he typed a short message. "How are you sending these?" His heart beat a little faster as he hit send. The message showed as delivered instantly. No delay, no waiting. He stared at the screen. Seconds passed. Nothing. He told himself not to expect an answer. Maybe the other person was asleep, busy, out of range. A full minute passed. Then two. His shoulders slowly loosened. Maybe he had imagined the weirdness. Just as he began to set the phone down, it vibrated. One new message. "Not the way you think." A slow chill moved down his spine. The phone buzzed again. "Signal doesn't travel far enough for where I am." His stomach tightened. Where I am. That phrasing felt strange. Not here, not nearby, somewhere else. The phone vibrated again. I learned to ride the same thin places it uses. Thin places. The words echoed uncomfortably. The phone buzzed. That's how I can feel when it moves near you. Feel. Not see, not track. Feel. His breathing slowed slightly. The phone vibrated again. It notices me too sometimes. That's why I stay quiet unless it's necessary. A wave of unease washed over him. If the thing noticed the messages, then messaging itself carried risk. The phone buzzed. You shouldn't message me again unless it's urgent. Curiosity makes noise in ways you can't hear. His stomach nodded. So even this conversation might have drawn attention. He stared at the screen, feeling suddenly exposed in a way he hadn't before. Then another realization hit him quietly. He had assumed the other person was somewhere safe, somewhere distant, somewhere separate. But the messages never felt delayed. They never felt distant. They felt immediate, close. The phone vibrated one more time. One more thing you should know. His heart thumped harder. The phone buzzed again. The first message you received wasn't sent by me. The room felt colder suddenly. His grip tightened on the phone. The phone vibrated. I only saw the disturbance after it had already contacted you. A wave of icy dread moved through his chest. The first message, don't turn around. If that hadn't been sent by the guide, then who sent it? And how did they know? The phone buzzed again. Something else warned you. Silence swallowed the apartment. The soft hum of the city outside suddenly felt very far away. His mind raced. If something else had warned him, then maybe not everything out there was hostile. Or worse, maybe the thing itself had spoken first. Maybe the warning wasn't meant to save him. Maybe it was meant to shape him. The phone stayed dark after that. No more explanations, no comfort. Just a heavy question hanging in the air. Who had really sent the first message? And what did they want from him? Evan barely slept after that. Every time he closed his eyes, his mind replayed the first message again and again. Don't turn around. The words no longer felt protective. They felt deliberate, like a move in a game he didn't understand yet. He kept wondering what the intention behind it was. A warning saves someone. A command shapes someone. That message hadn't said, be careful. It hadn't explained anything. It simply controlled his behavior, and he obeyed. That thought made his stomach tighten. He walked through his apartment slowly, lights on, window open, soft noise in the background, calm breathing, predictable motion. But underneath it all, his thoughts churned. If the thing learned from attention, fear, and behavior, then what had the first message taught him? Don't turn around. That rule had saved him, but it had also trained him. It had taught him to freeze, to obey, to trust invisible instructions. And now the thing itself was repeating it. That realization made his stomach tighten. He wasn't just avoiding danger anymore. He was participating in its growth. That night, the city outside felt restless. Wind pushed harder against the window. Distant traffic came and went in uneven waves. The air in the apartment stayed thin, stretched like invisible fabric pulled too tight. His phone vibrated. No guidance, no warnings. That absence felt louder than any message. Hours passed. He sat on the couch, eyes drifting occasionally towards the dark corners of the room, resisting the urge to search them too carefully. Then something shifted, not in the air, not in the light, in him. A quiet sense of being noticed returned, faint but familiar. His skin prickled. He slowed his breathing automatically. The room stayed normal. No pressure, no cold. But the awareness lingered, like someone standing just outside the edge of perception. His phone vibrated softly. a message appeared. "It's close again." His chest tightened. The phone buzzed. "But it's different this time." Different wasn't comforting. The phone vibrated. "It's not approaching from behind." His stomach dropped slightly. "Not behind?" The phone buzzed again. "It's approaching from inside the pattern you've built." The words felt heavy and strange. Pattern. Built. His mind replayed his routine. Lights, window, noise, calm, predictability. The same safe behaviors repeated every night. He had made his environment stable, and something had learned to move within stability. The phone vibrated again. "You've been teaching it what safety looks like." A slow chill moved through his chest. Safety for him or safety for it? The phone buzzed. "It's learning to exist where you're calm." His breath caught slightly. That meant the rules were shifting. The phone vibrated again. "Avoidance only works early. Adaptation comes next." The room felt subtly different now. Not heavy, not threatening, just attentive, like something was sharing the space rather than stalking it. The phone buzzed. "You may not feel pressure anymore. That doesn't mean it's gone." His eyes scanned the room slowly, resisting the urge to search for shapes. The air felt normal. Too normal. The phone vibrated again. "It's learning stillness from you." His stomach nodded. Stillness was exactly what had made it strong in the hallway that first night. He had brought stillness back into his life carefully, thinking it was safe. Now it was being mirrored. The phone buzzed, which means the next phase is dangerous. Dangerous how? The phone vibrated again. "It won't need fear to stay solid anymore." A quiet dread settled in his chest. If it didn't need fear, then calming himself wouldn't weaken it. The room stayed silent. His phone vibrated once more. "You're reaching the same point I did." The weight of those words settled heavily. The guide had survived for years, but survived didn't mean escaped. The phone buzzed. "There's one way to break the loop." His grip tightened on the phone. The phone vibrated again. "You have to stop obeying the first rule." His heart skipped. "Stop obeying?" The phone buzzed. "Not by turning in fear, but by choosing when and how to look." The words sent a slow wave of cold through his body. Looking had always been forbidden. Looking had always been the line you never crossed. The phone vibrated. "It feeds on reflex, on automatic reaction. Choice disrupts it." Choice, not panic, not impulse. The phone buzzed again. "If you look calmly, without fear or curiosity, you collapse the pattern it learned from you." His chest tightened. That sounded terrifying. The phone vibrated. "But once you do, you'll never go back to not knowing." A heavy silence filled the room. The phone buzzed one final time. "That's the price." The screen went dark. The room stayed quiet. Evan sat there for a long time, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of the decision settle into his bones. Part of him wanted to keep hiding, keep following rules, keep living carefully in the safe lanes he had built. But another part understood something deeper now. If he kept obeying the original command forever, he would keep feeding the thing in subtle ways. He would slowly become a habitat. The sense of being noticed strengthened slightly. Not threatening, not heavy, just present, like a silent companion waiting patiently. His heart beat steadily. His breathing stayed calm. He stood slowly from the couch. The room didn't change. No pressure, no cold, no warning signs, just quiet awareness. He walked to the center of the room and stopped. The window stayed open behind him. The city breathed softly in the distance. He grounded himself in the physical world, the feel of the floor under his feet, the air on his skin, the rhythm of his breath. No fear, no curiosity, just choice. He began to turn, not fast, not hesitant, smooth and controlled. The room stayed still. Halfway through the turn, his body tensed slightly out of old habit, but he released it consciously. He finished turning. Behind him was nothing. No shadow, no shape, no distortion. Just empty space and familiar furniture. The awareness vanished instantly, like a soap bubble popping silently. The air felt lighter than it had in days. His chest loosened. A strange calm settled into the room. His phone vibrated once. One final message appeared. Good. It couldn't hold form without your obedience. Relief washed through him slowly. The phone buzzed again. You just taught it how to end. The screen went dark. No more messages came after that. Days passed. Then weeks. The apartment stayed normal. No pressure, no cold, no strange silence bending. The city noise returned fully. The air felt ordinary again. Evan slept with the lights off for the first time in a long while. Nothing happened. But sometimes, late at night, he still remembered the first message. Don't turn around. And he understood now how close he had come to living inside a rule that never truly belonged to him. Some warnings save you, others shape you. And sometimes the scariest thing isn't the shadow behind you, it's the invisible pattern you carry forward without realizing it.